the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Today on the show, we're talking about navigating conflict in marriage. Let's welcome back to the program as our spiritual director today, Father Dave Heney. Father Dave is a priest in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, and he currently serves as the pastor of St. Bruno Catholic Church in Whittier, California. All right, Father, so let's get to the subject at hand here, specifically when conflicts come up in marriage. Maybe some initial comments about navigating conflict in marriage?
So I think just if couples are constantly talking to each other, and especially about their reaction to events during the day, you become an expert on your spouse. You become very, very highly informed about your spouse. So you're more likely to know ahead of time what are those things that irritate and annoy them. Because the conflicts are going to come when someone's upset about something. I didn't like it when you did this. I didn't like it when this happened. But if you're an expert on your spouse, you kind of already know what bugs them, what irritates them, what annoys them. So you're a little ahead of the game. But here's the key. Something happens and we get upset and we get angry. And here's the irony. I've been talking about how important it is to talk. It's very important to not talk when you're angry. If you're angry, if you're really upset, you're more likely to say something that you will later regret. Because you'll say too much, you're trying to make the point, you're emphasizing it too strongly, you're kind of out of control. Arguing when you are upset just is never a good idea. So if you feel yourself welling up with these feelings, or if that first line comes out, it might be impossible for you to do it, but maybe your spouse can say, you know what, I can see that you're angry, I can see that you're upset, that we're not going to be able to solve it while we're in this kind of highly emotional feeling.
Right.
Let's table this right now and talk, after dinner, later on when we're both calm, and set aside the time to do that. When you do talk about it, and this is so hard to do, is to never interrupt. This is something that falls, stereotypically they say it falls on men, but I think it's equally both. You want to get your point across, you're not listening, and so you interrupt to get your idea out. It's just never a good idea. So it's a discipline. There's no shortcut here. There's no trick of the trade. You just have to discipline yourself to not interrupt, to listen to the end of the sentence of the other person. And it's very powerful. It also signals respect. Because when you are interrupted, you feel disrespected. You feel like your ideas are not valid. So it's a simple line. It just takes a discipline. You just have to do it. There's no shortcut to it. Is to never argue when you're angry and upset. And when you do talk, just never interrupt. And I think this the last thing I would say is, your spouse is going to say something, and then it's actually good to say in a very respectful way, you're not probing or prying, but just saying, why is it that you feel that way? Why is this important to you? Why is it that you want your in-laws in on this event? Why do you want to go to this event and not that one? Why do you not want to go to this event? What's behind that? And I think that just opens up a little bit more of the personality of your spouse. You get to know a little deeper side of them, just beside the position that they're taking. You get to know a little bit why they have that position. Mm-hmm. And it just makes the conversation more meaningful. So I would just say, never argue when you're angry, never interrupt. Asking why do you feel this way, what's behind it is just very, very powerful and helps to actually, during the disagreement to bring you closer together.
Yeah, I like those general principles there, Father, and especially I like the caveat that you threw in there about when you're not talking when you're angry. To I think you need to express that, right? You need to say to one another, we're both or maybe just one of you is in the heat of anger at that point. I'm going to say things I will later regret, so let's table this and let's make time to talk about it later. I mean, so what I'm not hearing you say is you're not saying, give your spouse the silent treatment.
Never.
Right.
That is a killer. That is the deadliest thing that can happen is the silent treatment. Here's the problem with the silent treatment. All you get is silence, but you don't really know why. So people can't read minds. That's one of the great mistakes that people think. Well, I know what she's thinking. Well, no, you don't. People are a lot more complex than you might think. So we can't read others' minds. If you have something to say, you have to bring it out into the open and say it. You can take your time in saying it. Choose your words carefully. Be diplomatic. Be respectful. But the silent treatment is a form of anger. It's a passive-aggressive action. It does no good whatsoever. It's a form of hurting someone. I mean, think about it. Silence hurts. And why is that? Because talking helps. Love comes from talking. And silence is the exact opposite of that. So silence is a true hurtful behavior, and it has no beneficial effect at all. It's just a terrible thing. Unfortunately, it's easy to do. You just shut your mouth, right? It is never good.
Yeah. Love comes from talking. I like that a lot, Father. And that seems to be reflective, again, of our Lord and the way that he deals with us, right? God speaks his word to us most fully and completely in the person of Christ, of course. But that is love. Whereas I can see that if you're into the silent treatment, if you're giving your spouse the silent treatment, you're really just curving back in on yourself. I mean, there's nothing that you're doing there but stewing within yourself over something that and you probably get more angry.
Yeah, it's a completely selfish act. Love comes from talking, and that's why, we talk about all the things that we know about our Lord are called revelation, because God is revealing himself, through words. In the beginning was the Word.
Yeah.
So love comes from talking, and nothing good comes from silence.
This entire episode of The Inner Life is on the Relevant Radio app. Relevant Radio app is completely free and updated daily with fresh articles, podcasts, and prayers. Don't delay. Download the app today. And thanks for listening.